ẹ̀yin tèmi ẹ súnmọ́ bí ẹ wá gbọ́. Mo fẹ́ bèrè nǹkan Rufai ni mo rí tó gbé fídíò kan jáde lẹ́ni. Ẹ dákun, mo gbọ́ wípé wọ́n ní Tinubu tún ti seek for fún Peter Obi láti lè support ẹ̀. Pé Tinubu seek for help of Peter Obi. Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ fún Labour Party leader? Ṣé gbogbo èèyàn náà ní kó máa support ẹ̀? Gbogbo èèyàn ní kó máa bọ́ lẹ́nu ọkọ̀ fún ẹ̀. Ọ̀gá Adé, nobody will come down. So orí mọ́tò eléyìí ẹ̀jọ̀ gbàgbàgbà bí mo ṣe sọ fún ẹ, wọ́n á gbé ẹ̀mí ẹ̀ gbóná. Nobody will come down for you in this bus. Rèé o, ẹjọ́ máa gúnlẹ̀ sí èbúté ni. So ilé tí ò bá sú nínú yín, àwa ń wo dán yín bó ṣe ń lọ torí pé kò sí nǹkan tó kàn mí. Ẹ bá dìbò, ẹ bá má dìbò, tèmi ni pé freedom lèmi fẹ́. Kémi kúrò nínú oko ẹrú, kí n ní òmìnira torí bẹ́ẹ̀ dìbò náà kò sí tí ó ṣe ń bẹ̀. Bí Peter Obi wọlé, bí Tinubu wọlé, bá ti fún wọlé, kò sí eléyìí tó máa nítumọ̀ Nàìjíríà. Nigeria is finished. Ọbásanjọ́ ti sọ sẹ́yìn náà, àbẹ́tí ẹ̀dí nígbà tí Ọbásanjọ́ sọ̀rọ̀ wípé kí Jesus Christ wá sórílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà yẹn. Ó ní kí Jésù wá sí Nàìjíríà kó wá jẹ president pé Nàìjíríà ò lè nítumọ̀. That means ká pín Nàìjíríà ló lè ṣe kókó. Kí Nàìjíríà ní break up, ká exist kúrò ní Nàìjíríà. So kò sí nǹkan tó kàn mí nínú pé ẹnìkan ni kó jẹ kinní kan torí Jagaban àwọn ọ̀rànjú tó wà lẹ́ àwọn ẹ̀hànà tó wà tó jẹ́ pé ó jẹ́ olórí Boko Haram tó jẹ́ igbákejì tán pè ní sentimental yìí. Tí Yorùbá ń sunkún fún tí gbogbo yín gba bribe lé lórí tó wá tásìkò election tí gbogbo yín yọwọ́. Àánú yín ṣe mí. Wọ́ fídíò tí mo fẹ́ fi wọ́n ẹ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ kún sínú ẹ̀ ó ṣe kókó. Just sit down. Ọmọ àǹtí mi, sit down kó pẹ̀pì kó listen kó gbọ́ kó dẹ̀ fáwọn ọ̀rẹ́ ẹ̀ náà gbọ́ torí pé mi ò mọ̀ tẹ́ fẹ́ bírèkì, mi ò mọ̀ tẹ́ fẹ́ méjì, mi ò mọ̀ tẹ́ fẹ́ ṣe gbogbo nǹkan tẹ́ yẹ kẹ́ ẹ ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀ ṣe. Bí gbogbo nǹkan ṣe dára tó Nàìjíríà wo lẹ ṣe nú ẹ̀ ẹ wá sọ super story ìtàn Maria ló bí Jésù. Ọ̀gá Adé wo fídíò kó sọjọ́ wo fídíò.
Candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, has met with Labour leaders, organized Labour, I should say, and members of civil society. The town hall meeting in Abuja was organized by the Labour Directorate of Campaign Council. Some of those in attendance at the meeting were Labour leader Ayuba Waba, his trade union Congress counterpart Festus Sifo, Tinubu's running mate Kashim Shettima, and Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila.
Our nation has experienced many trials, battles, independence, wars, democracy have all been fought for and won. It's fragile. Democracy is not easy to manage. The competitiveness, the insults, the abuse, the frustrations, but yet democracy is the best form of governance, accountability, and transparency. For us, the challenges ahead are profound, but much more subtle than those of the past. We must do more than merely overcome the challenges. We must create a better, fairer, more just and compassionate nation.
Much more than that. Right, a lot to talk about here. Are you?
All right, a lot to talk about. I'll try to keep it succinct as much as possible. We already got the report there and also a live, just hearing the presidential candidate of the APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, addressing the organized labor. It was led by the NLC president, Comrade Ayuba Waba, and also jointly by the TUC, Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, Festus Osifo. Now, what he had highlighted, and this, by the way, was a town hall meeting in Abuja that held where he presented his action plan for a better Nigeria and also had the opportunity to engage these labor leaders. Traditionally, looking at the fight to democracy and also even in the democratic dispensation, the role of the organized labor cannot be underemphasized. They are known to hold government to account, present demands, and very importantly, represents the interests and rights of workers that they were elected to. Now, one of the things that this town hall meeting gave an opportunity to do was, first of all, obviously, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was able to speak to the representatives present alongside the Speaker of the House of Representatives and governors of other states and his deputy, Kashim Shettima. He also went down memory lane, just highlighting the fact that he was once one of them, talking about his Nadeko days, how he fought, against the military government in order to transition, how he went on exile, and the fact that he could identify with them because he had walked their shoes as well. Now, this gave the workers an opportunity to present their charter of demands. Earlier this year, they had mentioned, the organized labor had said that they were going to hold presidential candidates to account, presenting their charter. Now, some of the things that are highlighted are education, healthcare, energy, security, and according to the meeting yesterday, they said chief of this was going to be on corruption. Earlier this year, Transparency International gave Nigeria its worst ranking with 154 out of 180 countries in terms of its corruption index, making it the worst under, unfortunately, this APC government. We have a big corruption challenge in the nation. Beyond perception, the reality is, day after day, we see the EFCC talking about how they're going to fight and going to win this war against corruption. And don't forget that President Muhammadu Buhari himself was elected on this platform that he was going to fight corruption. Unfortunately, that fight doesn't seem to have been very fruitful. This is what the Labour Party are asking for, that corruption is eroding the very fabric of our democracy, and they must do something about this. Don't forget, Nigeria has 20 million children out of school. They're fighting for education, quality education for Nigerians. And they also put in the charter that elected officials should have their children in schools in Nigeria. They talk about healthcare, primary healthcare in Nigeria, challenges there, they looked at that. So facing the issues, I'm hoping that beyond speaking to the APC presidential candidates who assured them that he was going to strengthen anti-corruption agencies, they will also hold these parleys with other presidential candidates. And beyond that, that they should sign and hold them to account on this charter so that if any of them emerges as winner next year during the elections, afterwards they will be able to hold them to account and fight for the interests of the Nigerian people whom they represent.
There is trouble for Mr. Peter Obi, the candidate of the Labour Party. That the candidate of the APC was meeting with Labour leaders who are supposed to be in Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's constituency. Well, those who are making that kind of point, they simply miss the point. They don't understand. In a democratic process, every candidate should be given the opportunity to engage with constituency, with stakeholders. The Labour community is not a personal property of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. So Labour leaders have an interest to engage everybody, all the 18 presidential candidates. So I think it's important to put that out there, that in an open contest, no candidate should be restricted from having access to any constituency or stakeholders.
So one thing has to be said, good engagement on behalf of, by the APC presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He needs to meet Labour because Labour plays an integral role in this country. We can't deny that fact. Trade union congresses since the time of Pa Michael Imodu. We all remember how the 1945 or the 40s strike, led by the likes of Michael Imodu, fought the British colonial government. So it is not today that Labour has played a critical role in this country. They always play a great role. But the question is, the concerns raised about Nigerian workers, how is the presidential candidate of the APC going to create solutions? He talked about the textile factories out of Kaduna and parts of the north. Kano used to be a big industrial heartland, Bompai to be precise. What happened to those factories? How is he going to solve the problem? Because most of those problems that affected manufacturing were tied to our currency problem and the economy not doing well. I remember very vividly how we used to have a lot of lace-making factories in the southwest here. But when we had the currency crisis of '86, 1986 January, most of those companies couldn't meet up any longer, so they shut down. SOCAS comes to mind, and some other lace-making factories. Thousands of jobs were lost. How is it going to revive our currency? Because you see, for manufacturing to be great, then you must be able to block loopholes that impede manufacturing. Economic conditions. How do you stop economic saboteurs? Our border is very porous. The likes of Adebowale, a lot of people forget, in the 70s in this country, started manufacturing refrigerators. At some point, yes, in case you're just hearing me, refrigerators were made in Nigeria. Debo refrigerator. But we all know what happened to the likes of Adebowale. Smuggling of other goods came in, and it stifled the manufacturing prospect of Nigeria. So it is not that we have not had Nigerians in the past that have tried producing things, but the economic parameters always act against them. So how is it going to solve the problem? There are 20.2 million out-of-school children. How is it going to solve the problem? That number will not reduce except we stop the problem of insecurity in other parts of the country. How is it going to solve the problem? Economic uncertainty. The over 30,000 or 30,000 minimum wage is almost impossible for workers to go home with that. I don't like to benchmark with a bag of rice, but the minimum wage can probably not get them a bag of rice. People are talking in terms of, I think Showore has talked about 100,000 being a sensible wage for workers to take home. Some people have made arguments about how are we going to solve those problems. So I'm happy Mr. Tîñúñbû is talking to Labour, but he should also talk solutions, because you see, after all of this poetry of campaigns we have, it will end on the 25th of February, or probably a week after, when the winner have been announced. But let's not forget, we'll all have to come together to think through how we are going to solve the problems that confront us. Leaders will come and go, but Nigerian problem has still remained the same over the years. How can we solve them and start to provide solutions once and for all?